Hello and welcome to the interview on France 24. My guest is Meena Ganesh. She's the founder and CEO of Portia Medical. Thank you very much for being with us. Meena Ganesh, you belong to this new generation of Indian entrepreneurs which blossomed with the growth and the boom of technology in the country. You are a serial entrepreneur. You have created so many different companies. Portia Medical is your company now, and it's a technology which provides medical services at home. You also founded Tutor Vista, which is an online tutoring company. You sold it to Pearson. Before you were CEO of Tesco. You are a pioneer. There are very few women entrepreneurs in India. How did you choose to become an entrepreneur, and what have been the main obstacles for you?
My entire career, if you look at it, has always been, even when I worked with large corporates, has been in setting up new businesses for them. At every point in time, whether I was with NIIT, which is an Indian MNC, or with Pricewaterhouse, or with Microsoft, I set up new businesses. So it's always been in my DNA, so to speak, to be an entrepreneur. And that got converted into
You wanted to take risks as a woman.
Absolutely. I wanted to take risks.
Do you feel you actually belong to this generation of entrepreneurs in India, which emerged during the past 10, 15 years and created Bangalore as an Indian Silicon Valley?
It is correct that Bangalore is now seen as the Indian Silicon Valley and also seen as a seat of innovation. It is the place where a lot of the new businesses and a lot of the innovation is stemming from there. And I've been lucky that I have lived there for the last 15 years and built a number of my businesses there. Starting in 2000, when I first started my BPO business, or business process outsourcing company. It was one of the pioneers in that area, in that sphere. And from there onwards, I built a number of different businesses.
So your husband is actually your partner in business. How is it to work as a couple?
Yeah. Well, my husband and I have worked together on a number of businesses. We started collaborating and building businesses together in 2000. Was
it easier for you that actually worked with you?
Well, the thing is that the two of us, both of us, by the time we got together to build businesses, had created enough of track record of our own. So while I had a lot of track record in doing whatever I had, he had too. So when the two of us came together, we brought in very, very complementary skills, and that actually helped us in building the businesses.
Is there actually a difference between men and women in terms of managing the company?
There is a difference between men and women, and there is no doubt about that.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a difference. The difference, though, is very positive. Each of us bring our own skills to the table, and if you can build the two together.
Meena Ganesh, what is it, this difference?
Well, in my view, women as such are more collaborative. They want to take the teams along. They are more democratic and involving. So that's one thing. The second is that while we negotiate, we want to have a win-win. We are not there just to get the win for us. And that makes it a much more sustainable win for the two parties that are involved in a negotiation.
Does your husband know that?
Yes, he does.
He knows you think that?
I think he does, yeah.
And how did your parents react, actually, when you told them you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Which was so not common.
Yes, it was not common. And also, I was in a really good position in Microsoft. I was number 2 in Microsoft in India. So in a very good career position, doing extremely well. And then what is this? You just move from there and start a business? Is something going wrong?
Take all the risks.
Why? What is going wrong? So yeah, all those questions did come. But, you just have to weather those questions and do what you have to do, which is what I did.
Are you different from your mother?
Very.
But she was okay with it. She was okay with your choices.
Yes, eventually.
Eventually, so you had to convince her.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
It is not easy. I have to convince people, but that's okay. I mean, I'm happy to convince him and do what I have to do.
How did she react at first?
She was very surprised, and she was concerned that how would it all play out? Will I take too much of risk? Would I have to work too hard and not be able to manage all my other responsibilities?
Having children, for example?
Having children, yeah. Would it mean that I would have difficulties on the economic front, on the money front? So those are all questions in her mind, and I think that would have been true even for a male who was getting from a very secure corporate role into a startup. that's that little additional thing about you being a mother of 2 children. How are you going to manage all that? So those things add on to the complexity. But anybody who's moving from a very cushy corporate job into a startup is asked the same questions.
And you finally convinced her. So we talk about modern India with you. India has recorded annual growth of 9% until 2 years ago. And how deeply you think, Meena Ganesh, has India changed for the past 10 years?
Well, the growth that India has seen has been extraordinary. And it is not something that any other country in the world has seen. So to that extent, it has set us up for a lot of positives. There has been a lot of new businesses like ours have been able to grow and succeed as a result of this growth that the economy has gone through. And that's a lot of the wealth has got distributed down as a result of that. Now, having said that, what we as startups do is whatever the environment is. See, India, whether the economy is good or bad, is still a country which offers a huge amount of market. It's a very large country. It has its own challenges of whether you look at infrastructure or whether the remoteness of the country. All these offer a lot of opportunities for people like us. There are many, many business problems that need to be solved in India.
Like what, for example?
Anything. So you take education. Education, like what we spoke the other day, Stephanie. In the urban centers, education is good, very well available to the top, the more elite people. Whereas if you go down to the schools which are either on the outskirts of the city or further below, the quality of education goes down. So there is an opportunity to build a solution so that the quality of education in those schools can also be brought up. And that's where technology came into play. If you look
for example, tutoring program,
our tutorial program. Our tutorial program is one. Our digital technology-based learning solutions which go into the schools and help the teachers to deliver a much better quality of education, what we call DigiClass. That was another huge advantage for the schools to improve the quality of education. Now you look at healthcare. Healthcare is very, very clearly a new, it's a big problem in India, as it is in most countries. That and in India, insurance doesn't pay for healthcare. It's a lot of private pay. And in that situation, you want to get the best that you can for the money that you can buy in the most convenient fashion. And that's where our new venture of home healthcare comes into play.
So that's actually what you're doing in your company.
Absolutely.
You provide healthcare to people in their homes. Is that this new way also to actually benefit from medical care?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we are doing. We are taking home health care into the homes of people. What we are trying to do is to ensure that, some of the expertise that we have developed is about bringing technology and services together to deliver in the most optimum way to people. So that's the model that we've taken. We've taken healthcare, we've taken technology, and we're bringing the two together so that people can get healthcare at their homes, but still at a very, very affordable price.
So, of course, India's economy grew at its slowest pace in a decade last year. What is this? How does it impact your business?
So, in the last 10 years have been great, but the last 3-4 years, we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown. And I guess it's also a lot of...
Is it hard to find financing, for example?
We've been lucky that because of our track record, financing has not been a challenge for us. And the venture capitals and the PEs, the private equities, are looking for good opportunities. They're looking for good teams, and we typically qualify with that. And so we've been able to raise money. But you're right that if a private equity or a venture capitalist is not able to get exits for their existing business, then their desire to invest in new businesses tends to be a little muted. And we are seeing a little bit of that in the background in the country.
Does this worry you at all?
At a macro level, for the startup environment, I do worry that there's a lot of angel investment that happens, but will they be able to get a Series A and then a Series B is something that you have to worry about. Now, however, I feel that this is cyclical.
It's just a cycle for you.
It's just a cycle, and it would come back. There is a wave, a lot of investments happen, then there is a little bit of muting in that, and then again it comes up when you see big exits going on. And we've been, as entrepreneurs, some of us have been good in pointing the way. We've created big exits for our investors For instance, our Chutta Vista exit was one of the landmark exits in India. We gave an exit of $213 million, and all our investors were very happy as a result of that.
Almost a year ago, Meena Ganesh, there was this terrible gang rape in Delhi, and it became a symbol of the widespread mistreatment of women in India. How did you react when it happened?
It's the most appalling thing. It really hurts me to see women treated badly. And as a woman, I don't want to see that ever happening to anybody, never mind my own family members. So it is at a personal level extremely distressing. Now, having said that, there is a flip side to that, which is that this is coming more to light now, which is good because it puts a lot of pressure on the government, on the regulatory system, on the judicial system to quickly bring to justice people who do all these harms. And with that, the hope is that people will refrain from doing these bad things. The more it comes to light, the more you clamp down very quickly and very harshly on people who do that, it's only going to help.
And the fact that the 4 men actually were sentenced to death, what do you think about that?
I think it's right. I think they deserve it.
What's next for you, Meena Ganesh? Another company?
Well, my Portia Medical has just started, so I have a long journey in that. I'm really looking forward to building one of India's leading home healthcare business. Home healthcare is not a known area in India, so yet another new pioneering area, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you very much, Meena Ganesh. Thanks for watching France 24. Stay tuned.